Paddy Power stream all UK and Irish racing live on your mobile, tablet or PC. Unlike some other high street bookies, Paddy Power, you beauty!
Hello and welcome to Goodwood. We're previewing Friday's action. I'm Maddie Plough and today I'm joined by Graham Dench, Jack Haynes and Paul Binfield from Paddy Power. We're going to kick straight off with the action at 150, the Betfred Glorious Stakes. We've got Frontiersman, the star name, in here. Start off with you, Graham. What do you reckon of this contest?
I'll just be a bit wary of backing Frontiersman at a short price. He's clearly the class horse in the race, second in the Coronation Cup, second at Newmarket, and he's coming here rather than he could have run in the King George last weekend. But the conditions are going to be testing. I'm not convinced he'll enjoy them. I'd just rather go with something that's proven. And although it's a big step up, I'd go with Lord Yates of Jed O'Keefe's. Stable in fantastic form, listed winner last time, loves the ground.
Okay, excellent. And Binners, can you confirm that punters are shying away from Frontiersman?
Well, he's still at the front of the market, Maddie, at 11-4. 3 Poet's Word, and then it's 4 Second Step, 6 Graham's Lord Yates, and it's 7-1 bar.
Okay, and Jack, anything to add?
I'd agree with Graham. I'd be taking on Frontiersman. He's only had 9 runs so far, but on his last 2 starts, you could kind of question his attitude. He maybe just still be green, particularly at this level. But I'll take him on with Poet's Word. He's had a light campaign. He's still improving. He's only got £4 to find with Frontiersman on official ratings, and he importantly won here last year, and course form is so important here.
Yeah, indeed it is. So we're all swerving Frontiersman in that first race. In the second race, the Bonhams Thoroughbred Stakes at 225. Who do we fancy for that one, Graham?
I'd take a chance with Make Time. Stable's in great form now, David Monrosier. He trains quite locally to here. At the start of the season, they thought he might be a Guineas horse, or they hoped he might be a Guineas horse. But the horses, David's horses, were out of form. They had a bug of some sort, and they've only just come back to life in the last couple of weeks. This horse was very, very impressive last time at Sandown, won by 6 lengths in a competitive race. I just think he's worth taking a chance on in what's clearly an open race.
Yeah, he's very unexposed. Binners, who's at the head of the market for that one?
Well, actually, Graham's hit the big mover in the market, Maddie. 7-2 joint favourites now beat the bank and Make Time. When I looked at the odds earlier this morning, Make Time was 7-1, so he's halved in price, probably because Denchi fancies the horse.
You did get my bet though, did you?
Well, I think we've seen it and slashed accordingly, Graham. 7 Zane Hom, 8 Escobar, Forest Ranger and Ronald R.
Okay, Jack, are we agreeing with Denchi, or are we going to set the cat amongst the pigeons and go for something else?
I agree with Graham, so he's got the double penalty. But I think most importantly is he's got winning form on soft ground, which is going to be vital here over the next few days. We saw how testing it was yesterday.
Yeah, I think...
Also, he beat Swiftsure at Salisbury on soft ground in a maiden last year by 5 lengths, and Swiftsure himself is a fair performer, so he's got even more scope to improve.
Okay, he's one of those unexposed contenders that I can see punters siding with.
Paddy's gearing up for Goodwood and Galway with this cracking horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if the horse you back finishes 2nd, 3rd or 4th to the SP favourite in at least one race every day at both Glorious Goodwood and the Galway Summer Festival this week. Max £25 per race. Pre-race singles only. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
We'll move on now to the Betfred Mile, the big handicap of the day at 3 o'clock. Graham, who are we siding with in this competitive affair? It's always one of those tricky events, isn't it?
Yeah, I think this is an absolute minefield. Personally, I'll be keeping bets to a minimum, but I would have a few quid each way on a rank outsider, Sir Roderick, right at the bottom of the weights. He's a proper soft heavy ground mud lover. He's not been in great form the last couple of times, but there's a new combination of headgear on this time. Tongue tie, which he's never had before, I think, and cheek pieces, which he's tried once. And I think that factor and the going are big pluses for him. He's drawn 17, and in the old days, on fast ground, you'd have said that was an impossible draw. But on this ground, and if they come across to the stand side, then it's a different matter.
Yeah, that may well prove correct that the draw is slightly irrelevant, especially with this soft ground now taking effect. Binners, how do they bet in that Betfred Mile?
Well, Paddy's giving some superb value in this race, Maddie, 5 places each way. And we go 9-2 Blair House, 8 Greenside, 9 GM Hopkins and Master of the World, 10 LVIP, and it's 11 to 1 bar.
Yeah, okay. Jack, who's your selection?
Well, Binners probably won't like to be reminded, but this race was won by Franklin D last year, and it proved that, well, it capped off a horrible day for the bookmakers. It cost them estimations between £7 and £10 million. So the horse that was second to him, beating ahead, was Master of the World. He's back again this time round off the same mark and with a ground to suit, and Ryan Moore is on board as well, so connections mean business, so I'd side with him.
Okay, you mentioned Franklin D. It's been a complete turnaround of events this year, with obviously all the big price winners coming in. Paddy's buying himself a new yacht. Right, next is the big sprint of the day, the 5 furlong Cator King George Stakes. She's Batash, a horse that's been very popular in everyone's selections. Are you going to side with him, Graham, or are you looking elsewhere?
I'm going to look elsewhere. I mean, normally this is a test of pure speed. It's one of the fastest 5 furlongs in the country, and this race is usually run on fast ground as well. But it's going to be a different race this time. I've been impressed with Batash, don't get me wrong, at Sandown, and Sandown on good and fast ground. But that's so different to what we're going to get here. And I think conditions will play against a horse like him, and also Take Cover, who's another pure speed horse. I'd be going with Profitable, who won the King's Stand on softish ground last year, ran a good race this year again. I think he's a more likely type to be suited by the conditions.
Okay, Paul, are the punters still siding with Batash in the King George?
Very strong, Maddie. 5 to 2. Then we go 11 to 4 Profitable, 7 Marsha, 9 Priceless and Take Cover, 12 to 1 bar. And we've actually got a money back special on this one, Maddie. If your horse finishes second, third or fourth to the SP favourite, you'll get your money back.
Okay, excellent. And who would your tip for the race be, Binners?
Well, I like Take Cover. I'd say there's a slight concern over the ground, but he has won on heavy ground at Haydock in the past. Won it 2 of the last 3 years and second to Muthmere, and I think he'll go well again.
Okay, Jack, are you going to side with Graham on Profitable in the King George Stakes, or are you going to look elsewhere in the market?
I'm going to look elsewhere, and one at a massive price, he's the outsider of the field, is Killang Rock. He'll absolutely love the cut in the ground. When I was at Nottingham earlier in the season, he won a condition stakes, and Martin Harley was particularly impressed with him. He was very complimentary about the horse. He's still improving. You can forgive his run at York last time, where the ground was too quick for him. And if he can find a little bit more improvement, where there's reservations about the market leaders over the ground, he could spring a shock in the King George Stakes.
So it's Killang Rock, the outsider for Jack. What price can we get on him, Binners?
Double carpet, Maddie, 33 to 1.
But you've got to be happy with that, haven't you?
Paddy's gearing up for Goodwood and Galway with this cracking horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if the horse you back finishes second, third or fourth to the SP favourite in at least one race every day at both glorious Goodwood and the Galway Summer Festival this week. Max £25 per race. Pre-race singles only. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Okay, so elsewhere, has anyone got any standout bets? We'll go to you first. Graham, have you managed to look at anything much?
I just thought in the Oak Tree, the fillies Group 3, the 440, we've got the Guineas third Davan there, and she's going to be a shortish price, I'm guessing. But there's a horse in there, a rapid improver called Sainted of William Haggis's. Got a soft ground, she's won on heavy and soft, and she was a very good winner, admittedly of a handicap last time. I think there's a lot more improvement to come from her. So I'd be with Sainted in the 440.
Okay, Sainted for Graham. What about you, Jack?
Got one in the last race, the 1 mile 3 furlong handicap. Bear Valley was one of the easiest winners here at this meeting last season. It's been a bit in and out this campaign, but he's ran well here before. At the start of the season, he was second here. And he was third at Royal Ascot behind Atty Purse, only beaten 3 lengths. So if he returns to form, he could go well.
Okay, course form, another big positive for Jack then with Bear Valley. Binners, what about you?
Well, more extra great value from Paddy in the 440, 4 places each way, and we've also got 3 extra place races at Galway, including 5 places in the 6:15 handicap chase. But as for a good bet, the 5:15 number 1 Shimkent for David O'Meara, his horses have been running well. Soudois was placed at a huge price. He had another one placed. That one's won on soft ground at Carlisle, and is the one for me.
Okay, fantastic. You mentioned Galway. Justin O'Hanlon is our man over there, and he's going to give us his best bets.
Well, 7 races in front of us on a mixed card at Galway on Friday evening as the 7-day festival moves into its weekend phase. Again, nothing but interesting racing on Friday evening. Opening at 5:10 with a 2-mile handicap hurdle. And one that certainly jumps out here is the Tony Martin trained Golden Spear. Now, this is a horse I never thought would still be running in this class of handicap hurdle in July of 2017. But he's a horse who won the November handicap, of course, at Leopardstown last season. His best win over hurdles was on heavy ground in the Lartigue at Listowel as a 4-year-old. But in the last year, since he won that Leopardstown November handicap, it's actually been a catalogue of misfortune for him in handicap hurdles. His best run was when he was second in the Boyle Sports to Ice Cold Soul at Leopardstown back in January. But other than that, made a bad mistake at the second last when looking poised to challenge at Fairyhouse over Easter, and a couple of other misfortunes besides. John Fitzpatrick takes £7 off his back in this 5:10 contest, and really he does absolutely stand out in this company. And you could almost say if he doesn't win this, he'll never win this class of handicap hurdle. Golden Spear for Tony Martin in the 5:10. Interesting 2-year-old maiden, auction maiden at 5:45. I fancy Crispin of Tim Doyle's. It wasn't so badly drawn in the car park, doesn't help its chance. But the Brendan Duke train warmed the voice when I ran a really encouraging race when third in a good class. Curra maiden won by Delano Roosevelt, Leopardstown maiden won by Delano Roosevelt last week. Brendan Duke actually has some very nice 2-year-olds this season, yet to win one. Maybe this one will get him off the mark in the juvenile bracket this season. The Galway Blazers is at 6:15. Riviera Sun for Barry Geraghty and Henry de Bromhead might be the one there. Wide open race, trappy as you like, and not a race to get too heavily involved in, I think. Riviera Sun might be the answer. Whiskey Sour reappears quickly after winning the amateur handicap here on Monday night in the big mile and a half handicap at 6:50. Declan McDonough takes the mount, carrying the mandatory £7 penalty. He's gone up £12 in total for that win on Monday night. Dropping back to a mile and a half, I think, can only help this horse, and he's going to be very, very hard to stop from completing a big handicap double in that 6:50. The 7:25 though is a mile and a half of Philly's maiden. The one I like here is the Joseph Bryan trained High Language, ridden by his brother Donica. This one ran a really eye-catching race when he was third in a 9-furlong maiden, I think it was, at Goran Park last month, doing his best work at the finish. Had to be switched to the inside rail inside the final furlong. Ran on well. Will certainly appreciate the step up in trip, and I think there's a hell of a good chance of landing that Phillies maiden at 7:25. The 7:55 is a mile handicap. Empress Lila represents Sheila Lavery here with Gary Carroll on board. Might just be the answer to this race, Empress Lila. She was drawn in the car park when running well here earlier in the week. Finished just in front of her stable companion Desert Dreamer, who takes her on again in this race. She's not that much better drawn here tonight, to be honest, but she's drawn 11 of 18, which is better than being drawn 14 of 14 as she was here last time, and she ran well here the other night. I think she could win that 7:55. And the 8:25 is a mile and 6 amateur riders race. This looks to be a toss-up between Renetti for Willie Mullins and the Geraldines trained Sandstorming. There wasn't much between them when they met in a mile and a half listed race at Roscommon there a couple of weeks ago, where Renetti was doing its best to work at the finish over a mile and a half. Has a couple of lengths to make up on Sandstorming. Sandstorming is the more straightforward of the two. Renetti's liable to do anything at the start, as we know. If he's in form, he might sluice up, but I think Sandstorming might just be the more solid of the two. That's the verdict for Galway on Friday night.
Right, we're coming to the end of the postcast, so it's time to get everyone's Friday naps. I want some strong fancies from all of you. We want conviction, we want to down the bookies, finally get our own back. What's your answer, Graham?
I'm torn between Make Time and Profitable, but I'm going to side with Make Time in the 225.
Okay, bit of extra value there perhaps. Jack, what for you?
Going for Glory. Killang Rock each way in the King George.
Okay, 33-1. We'll be hoping that one goes in for you. And Binners?
Taking advantage of the 5 places in the 3 o'clock, I'm going to go each way for GK Chesterton, Maddie.
Okay, many thank you for joining us. It's goodbye from Graham, me, Jack and Binners. And don't forget to rate and subscribe to the Postcast on iTunes.
Paddy Power stream all UK and Irish racing live on your mobile, tablet or PC. Unlike some other high street bookies, Paddy Power, you beauty!